question to Coach started today.
Hey, Chris, obviously you've seen Samford already this year, but that was a long time ago, and they've won their conference tournament and just seems to be really playing good baseball right now. How much different is this team from when you saw them way back in March or whenever it was?
You know, when we saw them in March, they were coming off a really tough stretch. I think they went to Florida and got swept but played good. They went to Texas A&M and drove across the country, and then they drove back here, and we got them like on a Tuesday. So I don't think we're playing the same team right now, same players, but we knew they were going to be really good at the beginning of the year. We knew that coming in. We thought they'd be one of our better, RPI teams in our midweeks, and we got them at a time when they were a little down. So it'll be a very competitive weekend. They're playing great ball. They had a great SoCon tournament, and it'll be a good matchup tomorrow.
Having said that, have you decided on a starter yet?
Yeah, we're going to go Will Bednar tomorrow.
Again, just a reminder to use the raise your hand function if you have a question. We'll go ahead and get to you to unmute your line. David Murray, why don't you go ahead?
Coach, what went into the thinking with Bednar? Is it the order that Samford brings, or and the fact that he just threw last Wednesday, or what was the thinking now?
It's as we look at this regional, you got three teams that are all pretty good offensively or really good offensively, and we feel like our regional has a real blend of just good teams across the board. And when we looked at matchups, Samford has 8 right-handed hitters, and they're a really good offensive team. And we just felt like at that point that, Will would match up best with them. Both guys, because of last week, Christian and Will, they're both rested to pitch this game. So Will's kind of pitched the 2:00 game all year, so it'd probably feel the same to him in terms of his body. And then, the next two opponents have 3 to 4 lefties in their lineup. So we just thought from a matchup standpoint, that was the best matchup.
We'll go ahead and go to Joel Coleman. Joel, go ahead.
Chris, when you think about Landon Sims, we've heard you multiple times just discuss him and his football-like mentality and just the intensity that he brings. Kind of seems like he may be a guy that maybe mentally is just, I don't know, maybe wired for a postseason environment. Can you talk about him and his, I guess, that ferocity, that intensity that he brings, and how well do you think that's going to translate to this big stage?
Well, he's sitting right beside me right now. I don't want to talk too good about him. So, but he, yes, great closers and that type of mentality in the postseason. You see it every year. Teams that make big runs to Omaha have those type of guys. We had it in 19 with Cole Gordon and had all those saves in the postseason, and we feel the same thing with Landon. He's always the bigger the moment, the bigger the player you kind of get with him. And so we're looking forward to it. He's probably going to have to stay relaxed instead of that football mentality. You don't want to squeeze it too hard, but he'll be really good and be ready for us this week.
And I guess following up on that real quick, has he kind of been that way since you got him here at Mississippi State? Has he always kind of had that, jacked up mentality and raring to go for these big moments?
My first day on the road, one of my first days on the road here at Mississippi State as a coach, I went to see Landon, and it was the same the day I saw him there. It was a big environment. I don't know if he remembers it, but we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and I think he hit 96 that day, and I called Goat. I said, I don't know if he's coming to school. So, but luckily he made it to school, and he's kind of had that about him the whole time. Really good football player, really good baseball player, just loves to compete.
For those of you all joining us late, we're utilizing the raise your hand function for questions. We'll also provide you a recording afterwards through our media FTP. We'll go ahead and questions wise, we'll go back to Robbie Falk. Robbie, go ahead.
Chris, you mentioned the other day about giving those guys a couple of days off to just step away from the game and relax a little bit and kind of circle back around. How have the last few days gone practice-wise, and have you kind of seen the focus and the intensity pick up for the guys heading into the regional?
It's been great. And I know every coach is going to say that this time of year, but, man, we're the lucky ones. We're the last 64 teams practicing. A lot of kids all over the country are going home or going to summer ball, and we're still playing. And our kids we've tried to be very intense, but in short increments. We probably went about 2.5 hours a day, really fundamental practices, high energy, high intensity, trying to get some stuff done. And they've really responded. And so, like I said the other day to somebody, it's, the 2 days were good. It let us get away, let us decompress a little bit. here in Starkville, our kids have caught a lot of fish. So I keep hearing, Brad keeps telling me all the fish that he catches every day. So they've kind of been able to get away from it and rest their bodies. And I'm looking forward to them playing great this week.
We'll go back to David Murray. David, go ahead.
Coach, Samford, your years has just been a good offensive team with Coach Dunn. They hit the ball out, whatever park they're in. What have you seen just scouting them offensively?
It's a powerful lineup. It's right-handed hitters that if you make a mistake, they're trying to get it in the air and hit it out of the ballpark. So they're not putting. I have a guy or two who'll put some pressure on you with their feet, but most of it's trying to extra base hits and drive balls and hit the ball out of the ballpark. That's kind of the way they play.
We'll go to John Sokoloff. John, go ahead.
Chris, I'm not sure if you've seen since the last time we asked about this, but how did kind of Houston and Jackson look this week? I know you talked about the heated scrimmage. I didn't know if they've gotten any work in between then.
They just thrown pins. They've both been good. It's kind of good to get some guys some rest this week, some arms. I think everybody feels fresh. And we pinned out the last day or two. So everybody, even today, we didn't even have any pins. Everybody's ready to go. And, everybody's on hand for game one. So, obviously we have Will in game one and Christian in game two, but everybody else on the staff is ready to pitch.
Next up, we'll swing it over to Steve Robertson. Steve, go ahead.
Coach, you've been around for 24 hours and, even at the Citadel and places like that, I mean, you guys had good teams and you got into regional type environments. When you go into a place like Duty Noble Field, it's going to have 12, 13,000 people. How much of a change is that, for somebody that maybe has played before a couple hundred in most games?
Yeah, and this year's a little even different than most because a lot of these teams are coming in and their states or their conferences had different rules. It was always fun. I mean, I remember being at the Citadel going to play at Clemson or going to play at South Carolina. Unfortunately, they always send the 4 seed to the closest school that's hosting. So we always kind of went to those two spots, but our kids enjoyed it. Now we played there during the year, so we were kind of used to it, but these teams will respond. We got 3 great teams, 3 well-coached teams, and they're all playing great baseball. I look up at the win streaks in the last 20 games and everybody's playing well, which that's what you get in regional play, but it'll be it'll be a competitive weekend. I mean, our fans, hopefully they make a huge difference. They usually do, even in the SEC. So we're looking forward to having a packed ballpark and having a loud ballpark this weekend.
Any other questions for Coach before we get the student athletes up there? Again, utilize the raise your hand function. Steve, go ahead.
When making this decision to start Will, I mean, I know you've always been a matchup guy and about let's win today's game. How long did you agonize over this? Was this an easy decision or did you think about maybe doing some different things or kind of how did you arrive at the decision and how difficult was it?
It was actually pretty easy. I sat on those 2 days off, thinking about everything from the past weekend to the upcoming weekend. And so did Fox. And we came in on Monday. We both came in and this is what we should do. And I agreed 100%. I mean, when you look at the matchups and the way things go, and we need to get off to a good start. We need to have great momentum and it's about our motto of our team's right here, right now. And it's about our first game. And we feel like Will gives us the best matchup in that first game. And so I don't want to play for anything down the road or anything like that. I got too much respect for the teams in this tourney.
Since we have no more hands raised, we'll go ahead and let Coach go, and then we'll get Luke Hancock up here to get us started.